Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Woman on Fire Entrepreneur Global Summit, how to build your $10,000 or more a month empire. My name is Heather Picken, and I am so excited to be here with you today. And, here's the thing. I believe behind every successful woman, there's a story, the story of how she became successful and really the expert in her own field. So today, we're going to be sharing, we're going to continue on to share those stories, those breakthrough stories, and of course, giving you the strategy. So here's what I would love for you to do. If you found this information to be helpful, I want you to hashtag the heck out of it. Hashtag WOFE, that stands for Woman on Fire Entrepreneur. So WOFE, Woman on Fire Entrepreneur. And so let me tell you a little bit about my guest today before we get started here, and I'm so excited. My guest, her name is McIndoo, and she is the CEO and founder of So You Want to Write. I love that title. And is your author's coach who really is going to help you to get your book out of your head and a manuscript into your hands. And she really does this specifically for speakers, professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, CEOs, and coaching and author programs will really help you guide. She's got this proven system down. So some of her books, I'm just going to read some of her titles here. So You Want to Write, 7 Easy Steps to Write Your Book, which actually became an Amazon bestseller. Writing on Demand, Author's Workshop, Author's Journal, Heartbeat in Paris. That was a #1 bestseller in Kindle. And her latest book that she's working on, that's going to be due in spring of 2016, How to Write for Students. So since 2005, Anne has produced more than 1,000 plus, that's a lot, books for speakers, consultants, business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and professionals, and specializes in really teaching you how to prepare yourself to write, what you need to do before, how to organize your material, how to produce your content for your book, how to stay motivated and deal with procrastination. Come on, guys, you know who you are. And amazing writing technologies that are really simple, effective ways to produce content quickly. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to check out our website. You can go to www.soyouwanttowrite.com. So www.soyouwanttowrite.com. That's pretty easy. And I'm really excited because today she's going to be talking about how to make money with your book. So it's one thing having a book, but how do you really make money with it? Yeah. So, Anne, thank you so much for being my guest today. Now, before we kind of dive into the topic, I want you to kind of take me back to when you first started on this whole journey. Like, what was the defining moment for you, knowing that you had this gift and you knew that you wanted to help authors get their work out there?
That's a great question, and let me say thank you, Heather, for inviting me and to be here on your summit and to share with other women, with other professionals and CEOs. I've been very, very lucky in that I've been able to create an amazing, extraordinary business for myself. And I work out of my home. Right now I'm sitting here looking out my window at the golf course, and you know what? Anyone can do it. You just have to have an idea, and you just have to take action. And one of the best lessons I've learned from my mentor and hero, Tony Robbins, is I spent 10 years with him, and one of the first things I learned from him was his ultimate success plan, which is, first, know your outcome, 2, take massive action, 3, check your results, and if they're not working, change your approach. And if you follow those steps, I promise you, you will get what you want, whether it's building a business, finding a career, getting a boyfriend, whatever it is you want, that will happen. And so I was really lucky to be working with Tony for 10 years, first as his creative assistant and then as his personal assistant. And I'll tell you, being able to work for someone like that really made a huge impact in my life. And I started out, if I really, really go to the very beginning, how did it happen? I fell down a flight of stairs. I broke my ankle in 3 places, and I was in a wheelchair.
Oh my word.
Yeah, so I couldn't drive. I couldn't go anywhere. I was stuck in my house for many months, the doctor said. And so I thought of, well, what could I do? And being in that wheelchair, I always thought of, okay, how can I make money? How can I work? And I would always look forward. And being in that wheelchair made me look that way. It made me look that way. What else could I do? It made me take a panoramic view of, what I could do. And so,
I love that. Let me just stop you right there, because this is where a lot of women stop, and this is all about breaking through and becoming unstoppable. So the question, and I know Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is the quality of the questions that you ask. And you asked a better question. You said, how can I make money? I want this to be cemented in the minds of every single woman out there that's watching. You've got a mission, you've got a purpose, and you come up against a challenge. So thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's the best question you can ask. How else can I make money? I'm used to doing this, but I'm in a wheelchair. Now what could I do? So I thought about it, and I knew that Tony's offices, he records a lot of content, and I knew that they had transcribers. So I thought maybe I could do some transcribing for Tony's offices. So I called him up and said, hi, you know me, I'm on the crew and I do this, and I was wondering if you had any, I didn't mention the wheelchair, I just said, do you have any transcription that you could do? And they said, yes, let me send you a sample. Anyway, they sent me a sample, I transcribed the tapes, I sent it back via email, and they hired me, and they said, yes, come on down. So I worked as a transcriber for, I don't know, it wasn't very long, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then they said, can you come down to San Diego and work on a special project? So yeah, sure, yes. So I went down to San Francisco. I was still in my wheelchair. Now I had a boot on so I could drive from Orange County to San Diego. And I stayed there for a week. And they gave me Tony's daily journal recordings, which I transcribed. I had to sign a confidentiality agreement about this high.
I bet.
But, and that's what I started doing, transcribing and typing and this and that for him. And of course, I never met him, but we submitted the transcripts, and they absolutely loved me. So then, after that happened, they said, you know what? We have a very, very special project. Would you be willing to go to Canada and maybe Palm Springs or maybe New York once in a while? And I said, sure, And it turned out to be his creative assistant on his book. And that was honestly my first. I'd been writing all my life, and I've written other books for myself and for my clients, documentation books. But this was my first nonfiction book. So to have Tony Robbins as my first client was kind of big, but I said yes. I wasn't afraid to say yes. And I think that's a magic foundation. I think that's a big, big piece of success, is to be able to take the risk, to be able to have the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the knowing in your heart that, one, this is what I want to do. Yes, I would love to do this. And yes, I can do this. I will do this. I must do this. And so with those ingredients, I said yes. And so I went up to Canada, and there I am with Tony Robbins, and he's talking his book, and I'm recording it, and I'm chunking it, and then I had some more ideas, and I said, how do you feel about doing this, and we can create that, and he liked those ideas, and I ended up working with him on his book for 18 months, and the book is called Inner Strength, a beautiful book about all his teachings and his things, and then when the book was over, he goes, I don't want you to go away. I want you to stay. Will you be my personal assistant? So, okay, yes, I will. But I didn't want to be the assistant full time. I only wanted to be the assistant some of the time. So I made up my own spot. I said, what if I was your event PA. And I went, and what that meant was I would go with him to all his live events, and I would take care of him at his live events, from making breakfast to laying out his clothes to making sure he had his greens behind stage to make sure he had all his things. And it was really an amazing, extraordinary adventure. So I always refer to that as the university on how to write a book and how to be a PA. And you know what? It was the best 10 years, and I learned a lot, you know?
I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, talk about just going for it. I mean, you are just the testament. I see a lot of women really hold themselves back because they say, well, it's not the right time, or I don't have enough experience. And, you know, your expertise is how to write a book and how to monetize that. So can you walk us through some of those steps on what that looks like, you know, as far as being able to write a book and being able to, you know, take it out there, not just honestly, you know, what, you make $7 off a book depending on how you have it published. Yeah. So the money is not in just writing the book. It's really about creating your empire. So how does that happen for people that really don't know how to monetize?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to people who both don't have a book just yet, as well as people who have a book. And this way, this can be as valuable to everyone. And so here's the magic. The magic in having a book is that you are a published author. And that puts you head and shoulders above your competition. Not everybody can write a book. Not everybody has a book. Even if they ghostwrite a book, not everybody has a book. So first and foremost, that gives you credibility. It gives you expert status. And that's the really great news about having a book. The bad news about having a book is that a book really doesn't make very much money. A book will make you, you know, anywhere from $2 to $3, maybe $5 if you have a good contract, a good royalties agreement. But typically, by the time you sell your book, the printer, the publisher, the marketer, the fulfiller, by the time everybody Amazon takes their piece out of that $20, I think you probably have $2 or $3 left for yourself. So that's the bad news. But that's not so bad just yet. So you have your book, and here's what I've done, and here's what I recommend and coach my clients on. First, you write your book, and then you create your system based on the book. And so I've created different programs, you know, different systems that you can create your book, you can create your workbook, and you can create either a coaching or an audio program or a third product. Because you can sell your book for $20, or you can sell your book, your workbook, and your coaching program, a system, for $500, for $1,000. And so my strategy here is that you work once and you get paid over and over and over, because you can sell that system from the stage, on your website, online, as an affiliate. There are lots of ways that you can sell your system. And so that's what I ask and coach my authors to do, which they do, and they make money and they become profitable authors. So I teach what I call launch the business of your book. And in that launching of your book, because once you write the book, which is actually the fun part, it's like being pregnant, if you can call that fun. And then when you publish your book, you have your baby, and now it's time to show it off and dress it up. And we don't want to sell your baby, but sell your book. And through websites, through affiliates, through joint ventures, through marketing, through all your online presence. There are dozens and dozens of ways. Social media has a huge impact on selling your book. So if you can create those avenues, then you can create a really successful business and a really cool launching. I do Amazon bestsellers for my clients. It's not a big money maker, but what it does is it gets you out there. And how cool is it to say a #1 bestseller? If you were going to go to the bookstore and there were 3 books on how to do basket weaving, which one would you buy? Basket weaving for moms, basket weaving for everyone, or basket weaving, new Amazon bestseller? You pick the bestseller. And so that's those are just some of the strategies I use to help my authors make more money.
I love that, and I love, yeah, it's not just because I know there's so many people that either want to write a book or they've written a book, but they haven't really done much with it. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
Having a system, being able to create a coaching package or whatever. If you're not monetizing it, you're doing something wrong with it. And what would you say to people, like, just even writing, people that haven't written their book, they're procrastinating? What would you say to them? Because I always say, what is it costing you not having that out there? So if you could create the system, how much is it costing you not having the book done so that you can create this?
Well, here's the quote. The first thing I say, and I totally get that, women, all of us, have children, have a husband, have a household. There's lots of things going on. Maybe you're still in school. There's lots of things going on. And the first thing that comes to my head, of course, is no excuses.
Right.
If you are happy living the way you are, then okay. But if you're not, if you want more, then there can be no excuses. It can't be a should. I should write a book. I must write my book. Because here's the really cool thing. Writing a book is not hard. And I'll tell you a big secret. If you get my book, I tell you exactly how to write a book. It's not hard. I do have live programs, and I can help my authors get their book done really quickly. But you know what? You must write the book. The book is not going to take that much time, and it's not going to cost that much money. And here's what the really cool secret about that is. Once you have your book, now you have the foundation for the workbook, for the coaching program, for any other products, for ebooks, for Kindle books, for all kinds of things, because the book is the foundation. When you work with me or you read my book, you see I have pulled all those gold nuggets. And so if you have a dozen gold nuggets, what I do is I break each nugget into 3 levels. The general information, which goes into your book. In your book, you say the what and the why, not the how. In your workbook, you talk about the how. You give the details. And in your system, in your coaching program or your audio program or your videos, you give what I call the nitty-gritty. And each one is a step up. The book is $20. The workbook is another couple of $100. The coaching program is even more. And together, you make a very nice bundle. And so, because when people look at you, when people think, oh, well, and I'll use myself as an example, you know what, I want to write a book. And I'm sure they Google, write a book, and all these people come up. I know I come up on Google. And they say, well, let's see what this gal has. And they check out my website. They see I have 4 books. They see I have a boot camp. They see I have all kinds of programs for different levels of authorship. They say, you know what, I'm going to get her book. Because a $20 investment is much simpler than, let's say, a $2,500 investment. So they get the book, and they like the book, then they'll buy the next product. And that's where you need to be ready. Once you have your book, you can have your calendar where you're going to be speaking, summits that you're going to do online, social media, products. You have all those different avenues, all the different ways that people can learn about you and see you. YouTube videos. I don't have that many, but I have I think 5 videos on YouTube that I didn't even make, that other people made of me. And I'll tell you, I get more email on those 5 videos. Hey, I saw you on stage when you were in Ireland. That was really inspiring. I want to work with you. And that wasn't a sales video. That was just a video inspiring the audience about their message. Because everybody has a message. I truly, truly believe everybody has a book. And you may be ready right now. You may be ready in a year. Sometimes you have to take that author's journey. But you know what? Everyone has a story. And I'll tell you something else. Most of my clients are in their 40s or older. And that's because people, women, especially women in their 40s and 50s and 60s, have experience, have wisdom, have a message. They learn a lot of stuff. And you know what? That's what makes a really great book.
I love that. That's so true. We
Mm-hmm.
all have a story and
Yes.
mission and purpose. And I just want to keep going back to there is no excuse. If you are not living the life that you really feel aligned with, I always call that, living on purpose or living to
Mm-hmm.
your highest values,
Mm-hmm.
stop giving yourself excuse. It's just an
Yeah.
excuse. It's a story. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care if your life is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Take the mess, make it your mission, make it your purpose.
Right about that
You
mess.
exactly, you are the testament. That's why I say there's no
Yes.
excuses
No
why you
excuses.
cannot be successful and profitable and making at least $10,000 a month of consistent
Mm-hmm.
income, building, for using the example of using a book
Mm-hmm.
as a leverage in
Mm-hmm.
and really just
It's a
you've got
tool.
to exactly, and investing in yourself. Like, this is the whole thing that I'm highlighting throughout this summit is like you've got to invest in yourself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's total BS if you say, well, I don't have the money, someday I'll do that. It's like you've got to act as if, and I know Tony Robbins would probably say the same thing, you've got to act as if your life depends on it now, because
Yeah.
whatever you value, you will find the money. You will find a way to make it work. Like, you were in the wheelchair, you asked yourself, how can I make money?
Yeah.
So I really want people to look at the examples such as yourself to say,
Yeah.
wow, she has broken through. She is really, breaking through and becoming unstoppable and shifting her mindset. And of course, helping so many people out there. So I cannot say enough, how important that is. Like, don't make excuses, just do it. Commit
Yeah.
yourself, lock
Let's
yourself
do
into
it.
a room.
Yeah.
When I wrote my second book, I took 3 weekends, went to a really nice hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and wrote it in the lobby. I'm like, this book has to get out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I realized the value in doing that. So there's no excuses.
Yeah. There's a lot of, one of my clients got up an hour earlier every day. He used to get up at 6 in the morning. He got up at 5 in the morning. And from 5 to 6 every day, Monday through Friday, he worked on his book. I have another client, she did this, took the subway and worked on the subway for an hour in the morning and an hour on the back. She worked on her book on the subway. I have so many different stories that I've heard from my clients. I met someone, I just happened to meet someone at a networking meeting, and, well, tell me what you do. And he goes, oh, I hate my job. I go, well, tell me what you do. He goes, I'm a mortgage banker. I hate doing it. And I said, well, what do you love? He goes, you know what? And all of a sudden this glow came over his face. He said, I love helping people fix their credit. And I said, well, how do you do that? And he explained it to me, and I said, there's your book.
Mm.
So I helped him put his book together, Your Credit Destiny, and in about 6 months, it took him, and he said, and I go, I want you to call, he mentioned that he was very active in the church. And so I said, talk to your pastor and ask him if you can offer a free Thursday night workshop for the parishioners on how to fix their credit, and that you want to help them and you'll do it for free. And he did. And he called me back and he says, I'm talking to the group on Thursday. I'm doing it. And I said, well, do you have your $99, do you have your flyer for your $99 workshop on Saturday ready? And he says, what workshop? I go, the one you're going to do on Saturday, the one you're going to sell on Thursday. And he did, and he did.
I
And
love it.
yeah, 6 months later, he had quit, he was able to quit the mortgage job at the bank and open up his own.
I love this story because, you look at realtors or mortgage lenders, they're really having a hard time now. So today, I think we have to embrace the time that we're living.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember years ago listening to one of Tony Robbins' programs. He said, you've got to shift your paradigm. You've got to be ready to shift it. So for those of you that are listening that are in those industries, writing a book can create a whole entire life for you that you absolutely love, that you're inspired, that you can really help people. So I really believe, helping people and making as much money as you can is a great life. I see, I want to be as altruistic as I can and narcissistic as I can. It's all good. It balances each other.
Yes, yes. And realtors, I've done many books for realtors. And there's so many different aspects to realty, whether it's a buying or selling strategy or just working with real estate or flipping or whatever. I've done a lot. And, I asked the realtors in the audience, what are you good at? I asked all the women, what are you really great at? Whether it's baking a pie, whether it's sewing your kids' clothes or selling real estate, what are you really great at? What do people ask you about? Oh, you're so good at that. Will you help me do that? You know what? If you can help your friend, you can help the world. You can make a difference.
I love what you said there, because a lot of times women have this misconception of, well, I can't really do that. I really can't take what I love and monetize it. And it's totally not true. Really asking yourself, aligning your vision of what you really want to do. And sometimes, and I'm sure you get this, that they get afraid of really putting themselves out there. Like, well, I really should put myself out there as this, or write a book about this, but I'm really inspired to talk about this. So it really is about helping them to break through.
Yeah. One of the biggest procrastination things that I get is time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Or what will people say? Being judged. You know, and if you've ever watched that show on TV on Friday night, Shark Tank, people, I mean, just the other day, a couple who made socks with lace on it are now doing $5 and $6 million a year with their socks. They sewed socks. A lady was on there who made belts for kids that can put on and take off their belts. People go on, if you see that show, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone has an idea of how they can make a difference and what they do, and it's all based on their passion.
It is.
It has to be about your passion. You have to be passionate about it, or it's not going to last. You'll make money, and then you'll be unhappy. But, it's okay to be, rich and unhappy. I'd rather be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy.
I know.
Money, rich and happy.
Money is so important. It's such a valuable tool. So get used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to it, because don't be broke and unhappy. I'm in agreement with you, Ann. Well, Ann, this has been so inspiring, because I know women out there that are watching this, they're getting ideas, they're writing them down. How can they go the next step and learn how to work with you?
You can visit my website, which is www.soyouwanttowrite.com, and that you can see the different programs that I offer there. You can send me a note, and if it's okay with you, Hector, Heather, I would like to...
Hector on Fridays.
I'd like to offer a complimentary copy of the electronic version of my book. And if that's okay, I'd like to. They can write to me at Ann at soyouwanttowrite.com. Send me a note, and I'll send you a copy of my book, and I'd love to help you out.
Oh, that is so wonderful, Ann. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today here, and thank you to the viewers. It could not be possible without you. I am here on a mission. I'm on fire. I don't know about you, but I'm on fire, and I'm inspired to do this every single day, really helping women build their businesses, becoming profitable. Who says you can't do it? But you can't do it alone. So I really encourage you to go to Ann's site if you're thinking about writing a book and creating, really a business out of it. So make sure that you do that. And again, hashtag the heck out of WOFE, Woman on Fire Entrepreneur. I want to know how this has helped you, and please make sure that you share the sign-up link for the summit to other people. If you go to heatherpicken.com/on-fire, you can invite people that way. It's really important. My mission is to inspire millions of women to build 6- and 7-figure businesses. So I hope you enjoyed this episode today, and get on fire, get inspired, do whatever it takes. Like Ann said, get up early. I don't care. Write your book on the subway. Take action. Take action now. Okay? Until next time, everyone.
Thank you.
Heather Picken. Take care.
Thank you.